Hello, hello?
Hello?
Hello? Is anyone out there?
It's a mom's night out.
Yo, yo, yo. Hello, ladies.
Happy Wednesday.
How's everyone doing tonight?
Oh man, I'm like feeling a little nervous about tonight's topic.
Oh, I was going to say I had a Smurf hand from my kids' arts projects today.
What art projects? At camp?
At whatever camp is. It was all over, but like I couldn't get that little piece off.
Oh God, I
That's
can only
my
imagine.
concern.
Here's the real question. Are you hanging them on the wall or did they go in the trash?
They went right in the trash, and I blame our cleaning lady every time. They're like, where did they go? Or they like go into the pantry and like pull them out of the recycling. They're like, who put these in there? I'm
Listen.
Like, I'm shocked.
If it's bleeding on your hand,
Yeah.
it's not going on the wall.
No,
I'll tell you that right now.
No. Anyway.
All the art people, stop using crazy markers and glitter and glue. Like, just keep it simple with the crayons. I'll hang that up on my wall.
Crayons and colored pencils.
Washable markers.
Yeah.
I like washable markers.
This was probably washable, but enough washable marker on your hand is...
Yeah, and if the
seeps
kid
in.
goes real heavy coloring it in, you're fucked.
Oh God.
That's where I'm at.
Guys, tonight we have a interesting topic that is all abuzz on the internet. So I want to dive right in because we have so much to discuss. So tonight we're talking about trad wives.
Dun, dun, dun.
As in traditional wife.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is a trad wife?
Yeah, I'm sure many people out there are like, what in the actual, you know what are these ladies talking about? But this is a new movement. And it's talking about a wife that is a woman who believes in and practices, I guess, traditional gender roles in marriages. And many trad wives believe that they do not sacrifice women's rights by choosing to take on homemaking and that role of homemaking in their marriage. And so this part of this movement is really this shift back to like an earlier time. So I would be thinking 1950s where women did their hair, they did their makeup and spent most of the time in a more traditional role, taking care of their children, cooking the food in the kitchen.
Cooking lasagnas.
Yes. And the father had a career and the mother ran the house.
And they're happy to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so this is exploding on social media and let's talk about it tonight.
Yeah. Well, the one point I wanted to make is like, yeah, the term, I like really went down a rabbit hole. It really started popping up in like 2017, 2018 of trad wife as what you just explained, like that 1950s kind of everything was eerily perfect.
It's been around for a while.
And then more recently in the past few months, it's really started to explode and become very polarized because there's a lot of extremes floating around of what people think a trad wife is. So there's like from the very simple, like the stay-at-home mom, some people have said is a trad wife. What you just explained to these people kind of taking to the next level of, ship your traditional roles. But then also there's some like crazy conspiracy is what I would call them theories out there as well, as this entire movement was made up by men searching for submissive wives. So that's like a whole side of the internet. Yes. Whoa. And then there's this other whole side of like the men made it up and they're trying to prove that feminism is evil. So like this has really now taken on like multiple different variations. So even when you say trad wife, people could interpret that for any one of those extremes.
Yeah. And I think when I was going down a rabbit hole, the most famous and one of the polarizing trad wives is this woman named Nara Smith. She's not on Instagram, I don't think. I couldn't find her, but she has a big TikTok presence. And so she was a supermodel. She had kids young. Then she, maybe got divorced or didn't marry the baby daddy and then married this other guy. I think I could have this wrong. Jesus, fact checkers. But
the fact checkers are working overtime tonight.
She posts all this content about, like cooking these amazing meals. Like she makes bubble gum from scratch. She makes candy from scratch. And she's like always dressed to the nines and like full face of makeup and looks stunning. So that's one of the famous trad wives. And
the other one is Hannah Neeleman, which she's made headlines recently. She is also known as Ballerina Farm. That's actually her Instagram handle.
Yeah.
And so many of you perhaps have heard of Hannah, but in case not, a few fun facts about her. So Hannah Neeleman is the co-founder of Ballerina Farm, and she has 9.8 million Instagram followers and 9.5 followers on TikTok. So she is superstar influencer.
And she grows by the day because honestly, last week
I'm sure.
when I had first found out about her, she was only in like the 7 million.
I agree.
Yeah. So
okay.
it's really like people are latching on. Okay, back to your facts.
So she went to Juilliard, and shortly after graduating, Hannah left a ballet career behind to have 8 kids in really quick succession with her husband, Daniel. Daniel's father is pretty prominent, and he is part owner of JetBlue Airways.
And also a bunch of others too.
Yeah. And together they started Ballerina Farm. They sell upscale flour and meat, Frenchified provisions from their huge Utah family farm, which is picturesque and beautiful and stunning. And so that's a little bit about Hannah.
Yeah, so they do like subscription boxes. So like
Yes.
you can get a meat box, a flour box, you can get a baked goods box. And so they've like really made this into
It's beautiful.
a huge
Yeah.
business. I think the reason you may have heard of Hannah Neeleman in the recent future, there's been 2 major controversies with her. And I think the first one was back in January. So she decided that she was going to participate in Mrs. American. I didn't even know that was a thing. So you have to be married or divorced. And she decided that she was going to participate in this. Fun fact, she had to participate and compete just 12 days postpartum after having her 8th child. So, I mean, I just can't even imagine doing that. And she took her followers on the journey with her. Also, her kids and husband followed her out there to Vegas. So picture this Mormon woman who is traveling to Las Vegas, of all places, to compete in a beauty pageant. And she ended up winning. And so the internet was pissed about this because they were like, how could you set that precedent for women right after having a baby? I'm not saying that's how we feel, but that's what the internet was angry about. And then there was another controversy. Mandy, take us through that.
So this was what really put her on at least my radar. Was a couple weeks ago in the London Times, an article came out that now I'm forgetting the title of it, but it almost deemed her a trad
Queen
wife.
of the trad wives.
And it's funny because I think that really polarized people. Is she a trad wife? Is she not? And then again, there's just a bunch of different buzz items going around with that article. And I do want to talk about the article.
Oh, yeah. We're going to talk all about the article.
So should we talk about Mrs. American?
I mean, I think let's just go right into
the article.
Yeah. So
All right.
So I think the big takeaway from the article is that the Neeleman family felt like it was an attack on their family, their lifestyle, and their marriage.
Yeah.
And so they invited this Times reporter into their home, and then this article came out, and it was not what they were expecting.
Well, yeah. I think if you're listening to this, definitely go read the article. I mean, I can give my thoughts on it. I definitely think that this reporter came in and had like her preconceived notion of what this family was going to be like, and then just could not get around that.
I agree.
And no matter what, she was going to write her like perceived side of the story. Because if you're meeting somebody and you already have like this, like what they should be in their head, and I think then everything she saw there made it more valid of what she was thinking to walk into. And just her writing the article, I was like, ooh, also, I don't think Hannah is a trad wife, and we can get into that.
Yes.
Like, they have...
Thank you. Mic drop.
She's not a trad wife.
She's not a trad wife. She's a working mom with 8 kids.
She is a working mom. They have like this huge farm. They are co-CEOs, and I really do believe that is a partnership there. They were both like the nominated for the Ernst and Young Entrepreneurs. Like they are running this huge business. And guys, running social media until we did this podcast, I did not give influencers enough credit.
It's a real...
That's a full-time job. Like making all that content, thinking of everything, posting links. She has sponsorships. Like,
I know.
Guys, she's making bucks.
I know. I love that you talked about the preconceived mindset of the Times reporter. By the way, credit to the Times reporter. I thought it was a great article. I think the Times sent in the wrong girl. I was thinking about this.
Yeah.
Why would you send in someone who has no perspective of motherhood?
I know.
And that's not to bash this reporter.
Yeah.
But until you're a mom, you just don't know. And women say that all the time. And I'm not taking away anything from women that don't have children. But of course she's gonna, she kept making comments about how Hannah had this baby on her the entire day. And I was like, yeah, that's what having a baby is like. And
or the kids kept interrupting. I'm like, guys.
Hello? Like, obviously the kids are interrupting. And then, her comments about the husband, I'm like, you know what? I didn't think that was fair for her to really dive into this woman's marriage after spending
4 hours.
4 hours.
Yeah, that's my biggest takeaway.
Like,
no.
Big takeaway. Nobody knows what that marriage looks like except for Hannah and Daniel.
And I was thinking about this. If he wouldn't have been there and had been out like on the farm and not part of the interview, she would have bashed him too. It's like there was no winning.
I agree. Yeah. I'm like, dude, unless you're in a marriage, I don't think you have rights to comment on it.
Yeah.
And you can have your opinion, but she really painted this in a tough way. And so I got why Hannah was mad.
The one other thing that she like really bashed at Hannah for was like saying Hannah gave up her dreams and her hopes by becoming a mother and moving to Utah. And I was like, you know what? We've all made sacrifices for becoming moms. Like that's the thing. We just talked about it on the episode with Ellie.
Yeah.
Like it's not a bad thing. Your life looks different when you have children. And when you're young and you're, 15, 20 in your 20s, like you're not thinking. Of course, you're like have these big dreams. And then, you know what? You shift a little bit and you have children and that becomes your new dream.
And I'm not a ballerina, nor do I want to pretend I know anything about ballerinas. But I would think that of all your childhood dreams, that one, much like being a professional athlete, because that's my mind, that's like what I'm relating it to. There's like a timetable on that. It's not something you can just do you can dance for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
But it's going to like morph into something new.
And by the way, she kept dancing
She's still
even
dancing.
after she had 2 children.
Yeah. So I agree on all of those things.
I also think to be a ballerina, you have to have extreme discipline, right? And so here's a woman who is extremely disciplined by nature.
Yes.
Right? To be professional anything in a sport or dance, you have to be disciplined. And I kind of admired her discipline.
It's funny. I thought about all of the things that she's achieved. Like she's a stay-at-home mom. She has 8 children. She started a business. She's like posting on the side. She's also making, by the way, do not forget, she's cooking all of her food from scratch.
Yeah.
And she's doing it after she puts her kids to bed.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, that life is so disciplined for her to like go through every one of those things and check every box. And I was like, that's where it stemmed from, was from her ballet.
1,000%.
Yeah.
She's an animal.
Mm-hmm. Very impressive.
Right? Like, okay. So, but one thing that I wanted to talk about is like, guys, and you might be surprised by this. Like, I wasn't that fired up by this, right? Because guess what? She's an Instagram influencer. We are getting a small glimpse into her life of what she is choosing to share with us. Her making this grass-fed butter, like her with like her 8 children crawling all over the counters. She is choosing what to show us. And she's very good at it. Oh. She's an incredible storyteller. She has 9.8 million followers. Okay.
Yeah.
But like, guys, this is social media. Like, I just feel like it's not that deep. Like we're seeing what she wants us to see. And of course, there's a lot more to this story. Like this woman has an entire team behind her. Yeah. No doubt. And I think that's the one thing that makes me a little mad is that I wish we had gotten to see behind the veil a little bit more of like the inner workings of this. Cause I don't think it's just Hannah and Daniel operating this. I mean, they have a bunch of employees. They live in a $7 million ranch.
I think I read somewhere that it was like 30 people help run.
Yeah.
Like the, their, boxes and stuff.
I'm sure they have some help with social media and branding. I mean, they've created this.
And if they don't, like, write a book.
I agree.
Because I would love to know your secrets.
So I just wish there was a little more transparency, but in her defense, how can you get to see everything in 4 hours? Like the times you screwed up, you should have sent somebody else and Megan, a mom and Megan, this reporter, send 2 and send them there for a week and let them spend a week long every day with these people. Then you would have a better glimpse into how life functions.
Yeah.
Think about when we've done little mini interviews. Like it's scary to have someone in your house and to invite them in and you don't know what their agenda is.
Yeah, I think that's the scariest thing is like this whole agenda came out. And I can't remember if it was in the article or some like a spin-off article about this, but can we talk about the birthday gift that Daniel gave her that everybody is so upset over?
I know.
And I'm like, you guys, she chose to post that. Like
she was being funny.
Like everybody take a chill pill. Like people are like, blink if you need help. I'm like, guys, this is not the Britney Spears.
Wait, I was definitely like,
that made you
mad?
was
a cringe. No, the whole thing was so cringe. It did make me mad. I was just like,
but
I was mad. I was mad. She posted it.
You were?
I was like, this whole situation is fucking insane. Sorry,
like it just feels a little disconnected. Are you thinking?
Yes, I did think that was what caused all of this to come about, right? That was like how we uncovered this. Was I saw this video and I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh, there's a lot of people upset. And then like I went down the rabbit hole. Of course, I have a different opinion than that one video, but I did think that video was insane.
Well, and then you obviously shared with us. By the way, before you shared with us about Ballerina Farm, I had no idea that this woman existed. And I'm on social media every single day for this podcast. So what does that tell you?
I don't know, but the algorithm now, you're just fed that.
Oh, yes.
You fed it
when we were
nonstop.
outside. Remember, my phone was like, I had to open up Instagram and it was like a woman like making a cake. And you were like, what is that cake making on your phone? I was like, I have no idea.
It's the trad wife.
Which is like, those videos are so beautiful. It definitely reminds me, and this is not an original idea. I read this somewhere that it's like Magnolia Farms. Like Chip and Joanne Gaines, like it's giving you that like wholesome feeling of like farm life, which by the way, I'm entrenched with because that is not my daily life. So I like to see that.
That's a really good comparison.
That is a great comparison. Yeah. I never even thought of that. How come people weren't pissed off about them?
No, I don't know.
I do think they were a little bit more like bootstrapping than these two. So maybe that's what.
But we also came in like they got mainstream like well into like the Magnolia Farm. So like I bet earlier days they may have been more like Hannah and Daniel. I guess we have to go.
Yeah, I guess they didn't start with millions of dollars of trust fund money to help build the farm.
We don't know that.
I'm going to call the elephant out in the room right now. It's an election year. We're getting close to an election, and this is a topic that could pull you in two ways. It's become unfortunately politicized, and it doesn't need to be for all the reasons we've just highlighted. Like, let's talk about other moms that did things 2 weeks after having birth. Heidi Klum walked in the Victoria's Secret fashion show with her wings on. 2 weeks after giving birth.
And no one gave her a ton of shit.
They did give her shit, but I think they also were like, she looks fucking incredible. Like, what was your secret?
Yeah.
That happened. Let's talk about Marissa Mayer, CEO of Yahoo. She was the youngest female CEO and went back to work after having twins. Guess what? She was transitioning back into a role. And a bunch of people could argue, well, why should a female feel like she has to jump back into a role like that right after having kids? Because she wanted to. It was something that she was associated to as a person. Just because she's a mom doesn't mean she had to like transform this whole thing. So I just think that a lot of this is crazy.
I am with you.
The internet is a buzz.
I think the question that I thought about, right, because when you first sent it to me, I was like, what? This is crazy. I can't believe she's like portraying this fake life. And then I really started to like go down the rabbit hole and watch all the videos. And I was like, you know what? She's been taking people along for this ride. But again, she is a social media influencer. So I think people just have to remember this is not her everyday life. Like this isn't a 24/7 reality TV show. Even reality TV isn't fully real. And I just think, I hope that people watching know that and know the resources that these people have behind them and know, like, don't feel bad about yourself if you're not churning your own butter from your cow out back and like cutting down the rhubarb and making the rhubarb pie. Like, don't feel bad.
So you did that this week.
I did. I did. I was like trying to like get into the moment. I was like,
I want to know what it's like.
I was like channeling her. I was like, listen, I get why people like her. Like, it's inspirational to have your children sitting around and cooking with you. And by the way, I just want to say, I want to meet this woman. She seems like the chillest mom. I'm like, how do I be more like you? I want to know that. How are you so chill with the chaos that ensues you?
Probably because it's just
you have no other option.
She's like submitted to it. They're like, this is how it is.
Probably. But no, I totally agree. Also, maybe the one takeaway that Hannah and all other maybe even us ladies could take away from this is like, maybe we peek behind the like real curtain and show what the chaos looks like a little bit, because that is relatable.
I know.
Content.
I know. Well, so
every morning I just have to repeat myself 900 times.
But don't you think, I was also like digging deep this week. I was like, guys, this is why we started this podcast, right? Like to have real conversations like this. And I just want to say this again, like, it's okay if you feel differently than someone else about something and have a conversation about it. Like, it's 2024 and we're not allowed to talk about shit anymore. Like, that's exhausting. You go to a party, you can't talk about anything. Like, I like hearing other people's input. And I actually polled a bunch of my friends this week because I was like, what do you think about this? Here's the link. Go down the rabbit hole. And what do you think? And I loved hearing all the different perspectives and what made people mad and what people liked and what people thought. Like,
well, I think there's a way to have that conversation, because something you say, I might not have thought of. And I'm like,
1,000%.
Like, I want to know your guys' thoughts on, do you think Hannah is under the control of her husband, or like, are they co-CEOs?
I don't think she's under the control of her husband. I think she was raised very differently than you and I. And that's not a knock on how she was raised in her religion. I do think in those households, like, males are the head of the household. And I think they're very vocal about that. But guys, he seems like a pretty hands-on dad. And the reporter even said that. Yes. And I don't know if I really deep dived. When they were in Vegas, they had to stay longer, the whole family, because she won. And they weren't expecting her to win, I don't think. So they didn't have enough clothes. He was like trekking to the laundromat to like wash all the clothes with the kids.
No, he seems like hands-on. And she did say that. She did say that in the article. And I think it's also okay. Like, it is okay for some people to have like this thought of the men be the head of the household. Like, but I think that's why there's this whole camp of people who are so like,
they're mad about it.
They're so mad. And then you have the people that are mad that people are mad about it. And then it's like this giant like tornado on the internet right now.
It was eye-opening to me to like
people love to hate on other people.
That's the thing. And people love to argue. Like, people just want to argue and not listen to someone else's point. Like, by the way, there's more than one right answer.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that this week too.
True.
Two things can be true at the same time. That sounds like a Rick Rubin quote.
Yeah, write it down.
We haven't talked about him in a while.
I know, guys.
She was coming in here. She was sliding that reference somewhere. Now I've lost my agenda. I didn't even mean to throw it.
I thought about this a lot, you guys. These people are incredible storytellers, and obviously I truly believe they have a full team behind them helping them. But I am impressed by that team. They are bringing people along for the ride. And guess what? All these people on both sides of the story, this is how you know you're doing a good job. She's appealing to all these people, you and me, people who think you should stay home and homeschool your kids. Like, 9.8 million people are watching, whether they like her or not. They're watching.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it that way.
She's crushing it.
But she is a great storyteller.
She's a storyteller. It's a skill set.
And I think some of that calmness is probably part of the way in which she's telling this.
Calming.
It's probably part of the telling the story. And I feel like it catches you and brings you in. You're just like, I can't stop listening to her voice.
It's very calming to watch those videos of her.
I know.
Like, and doing, I call it research. And doing the research, having to watch them, I was like, oh, wow. Okay. I guess that's the allure of her. And like, she's also stunningly beautiful.
Yeah.
I know. That's not hurting her.
Like,
No,
you just
she's
wanna
easy to
watch
look
her.
at.
Yeah.
She's really pretty.
So
But again, don't compare yourself to her. She has many resources. I think a giant team behind her. She's created this incredible brand. And guys, she's not a trad wife. She's a working mom with a demanding family. Sounds like a little bit of a demanding husband, but who can't relate to that?
yeah. Like Hannah, where are the dads? Are they grumpy? Like I bet she would be able to relate to all of it.
Yeah.
I think she should come on the podcast. Guys,
Where are
I
the dads?
also like felt a little bad. They're like, Daniel talked over her husband. I'm like, if you asked my husband how many times I talk over him, like he'll go to tell a story and I'm like, oh, let me tell it. So I kind of felt for him in this way. Like I get it was her interview, but like, girl, that's on you.
Yeah.
Poor management, Megan.
I know.
Okay.
Poor management.
So do you guys think Hannah then is anti-feminist? Because I think that's like what a lot of people are
No.
up in arms about.
Absolutely not. She's paving a new path, I think.
Yeah.
She's like doing both, which is exhausting. And I get it. People are like, I'm worried for her. She sounds like she's exhausted. I'm like, every mom is exhausted.
Well, people
Yeah.
also like latched on to that one line when Daniel was like, yeah, sometimes she's so exhausted, she stays for a week in bed. I'm like, okay, well, I'm sure he over exaggerated that. But there are times too where like I wake up in the morning, I look at my husband, I'm like, I can't get up. Like
I know.
I
You
need
do it.
another hour.
I need
or
an
two.
hour.
Like,
Also,
I think we all get that way.
he
That was
let
weird.
her stay in bed for a week. He sounds really nice.
I was like, wait, what? That was actually my takeaway. I was like, she got to stay in bed for a week?
My husband would be like, get up, get up.
But like it was just
Poor
weird. Like,
Javi
it
to the-
was weird how
Yeah, I
that
don't
came
know.
across in the article that she was like she was so appalled by it.
I
but no, I
know.
don't think she's an anti-feminist.
Yeah, I think that was a weird comment from him, but I do agree, like that she stays in bed for a week. I think he was trying to make a point and it went awry there. But I do
Again,
agree.
everyone was looking to just pull this, like poke him apart.
Right?
Yeah,
I agree.
No, I agree. I think she's not anti-feminist. I think that also that her Mormon beliefs, by the way, this is like, and I'm not here to debate what Mormon beliefs are right or wrong, but I think that she's also following a lifestyle that she's, to
Exactly.
someone's earlier point, she
And
was
that's
raised this way.
okay.
And that is, and that's what they're doing. And millions of people out there live their life that way. And I don't think, and I've also never heard her once in any of the things that I watched or read, heard that she was unhappy.
I agree. And she was
She
one
wants
of 9.
exactly.
More
He
kids,
was,
by the way.
He was one. I bet they're going to have 9. He was one of 9. She was one of 9.
The numbers are aligned.
Yeah. I just want the people watching to remember the resources she has. That's all. That was my one thing. But also, like, it's not her job to like educate people about that.
You're right. It's not her job. Like
It's also not part of her persona that she's built for herself.
Correct. Like her brand, right?
Yeah. She's like, I don't have a nanny. Daniel doesn't let me have a nanny.
Yeah.
She's like dropped little seeds that are like,
However, they did hire a full-time school teacher.
I
So
mean, one would hope.
yeah, you
of
got
course, like how is she? Like, listen, come on. And I just want you all to know, it said she had a cleaning lady. So
I read that too. Ha! Take that, ladies.
take that, ladies.
And for
I
those of
must
you
have missed that.
who don't know what we're talking about, we got some flack for saying we have cleaning ladies that help us.
Yeah. Is anyone mad that Hannah has a cleaning lady?
No,
God, for
I haven't-
God's sakes, let the woman have a cleaning lady.
I haven't seen anybody complain about that. I'm going to start tomorrow and go on all of these places and just stir up some shit. Wait, guys, the most wild thing is she has a cleaning lady.
Ultimately, I think too, I wanted to say this, like, as women, like, let's not be so quick to tear women down. And I do think she irked something in me because I feel like, you know, she has a lifestyle that everyone's trying to achieve and all these resources. However, she has a lot of drive. She doesn't have to be doing all these things.
Exactly.
She's incredibly disciplined. She seems like a loving mother from what we've seen. I think this woman deserves a freaking pat on the back. And I don't even think she needed to like come out and post, like, break the fourth wall, kind of is what she did with that video.
Need to answer to anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think she needed to do that. And I was kind of surprised because like a lot of marketers were saying like, you don't do that no matter what.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, you don't engage. You don't break the fourth wall when you're creating this persona.
Yeah.
And she did. And I'm sure she had her reasons, and good for her. But yeah, I was a little surprised that she came out and made that. I guess it would be hard to be quiet, right? And she probably,
especially because the article was like attacking her and her life and her marriage.
Her marriage, yeah.
And like, I think if I was in that situation, I would probably have responded.
it was definitely a little clickbaity, the article, because I then listened to the Story podcast that the Times has, and it was Megan Agnew.
Yes.
Talking with, did you listen to that?
Yes,
talking with someone else. I'm not sure who it was, but she didn't, the tone of the conversation in the podcast, if you're mad about this article, you should go listen to this podcast because the tone is a little bit kinder.
It is much kinder.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
And then she came out the next week, probably because of all the backlash, and they were probably pissed. And don't piss off a very wealthy, prominent family if you're smart. Times. So they came out with another article. I don't know if you read the follow-up article that Megan wrote, and it was much kinder. It was like, you know, this woman is amazing and she's like doing these amazing things. And I appreciate it's like too late, girl. But I appreciated that they followed it up with that.
Yeah.
All right. I wanted to switch gears a little bit because I don't know, this whole movement of the trad wives and just now we're kind of going back. It just made me think of, I don't know how many years ago it was, 5, 10, but the whole girl boss movement where every woman was expected to be this powerhouse. Yes. Like they were crushing their careers, but they
act
were
like
also,
a man.
Yeah, act like a man, but also you have to then be there for your family and you have to do it all. And if you're not doing it all, and it was just like so much. And then all these women who were having successful careers, but also had children, they were getting so much flack of like, how can you prioritize your career over your family? And it's just funny, like the way the internet sways and wants to fight and like judge. At the end of the day, we're just judging. Yeah, we're judging all these moms.
Judging moms and women and women. And how about the women that choose not to have children? Those women are getting judged too.
Everybody's getting
They're
judged.
calling them like cat ladies. It's like, guys, let's put our foot down and let's like all rally together.
Yes, together.
And let's support the stay-at-home mom. Let's support the working stay-at-home mom. Let's support the working mom who has a nanny or who has full-time childcare.
Listen, and a stay-at-home mom is a working mom because let me tell you.
I agree.
I don't know. Those women, they deserve gold medals. Like seriously. I'm going to give them a $900 value of a gold medal from the Paris Olympics because let me tell you.
It deserves to be more.
That is a hard job.
All women deserve medals because look at what the world, the patriarchy, fuck the patriarchy. It's pitting women against each other when we should be rallying together.
I 1,000% agree with you. That was my whole takeaway from all of this.
Me too. Yes.
Was like, what the heck is going on?
Leave this poor woman alone.
Leave all of the women alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go fight amongst the men.
Mic drop.
No, but it's true though. It's getting every woman like these like polarizing views. So actually maybe the person who said it was the men creating this because they wanted submissive wives. Maybe that wasn't so.
It's a PR play. No, I agree. Like women,
theories.
As women, we should not be fighting each other over this other woman's choices on how she's living her life. Like
if she's happy,
guys,
leave her alone.
And if she's not, you know what? She's a badass ballerina, mama of 8. She'll figure it out. I'm actually not worried about her. I think
she's going to be fine.
No.
She'll be just fine.
No.
She'll be just fine.
She'll be fine.
Yeah. She definitely bosses Daniel around.
They picked the wrong one.
Yeah, they picked the wrong trad wife to go after. Should have picked a different one.
I agree. Like pick a more submissive woman. Like this lady's got it going on.
Running this, like I'm sure I would love to look up what Ballerina Farms makes, but it's got to be millions.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Multi-million-dollar company,
and just their Instagram influencer cash in. Like you know they have like the brand deal with like OG, and then now they're so good and so big that they're creating their own products, and people are buying them.
Good for her.
Good for them. Listen. If that's what it takes, that's what I'll do.
I don't know. Are you guys surprised at like how this episode went? Maybe if you were listening, you thought we were going to bash her.
But. No, I mean, I don't know. If anyone's okay, I challenge any of you out there listening, to spend 20 minutes reading about tradwives and about Hannah and come back with a different opinion.
Yeah.
I agree.
And I think we rounded out, but it's true. It's like all of these different movements and the labels and everything that's just, it's tough. And like everybody's always judging. And it's like, it's hard enough to be a woman. It's hard enough to be a mom. And then it's hard enough to be a working mom. Or even like,
Guys,
it's just hard.
Where are the articles about the dads and the men?
No,
I don't see any.
Never.
No, they're getting the fun ones like Rat Boy. What was it? Hot Dad, Rat Dad.
Yeah.
Hot rodent summer.
Now there's a Costco guy. We created that.
Chipotle guy. Like those are like fun and lighthearted and not lighting the internet on fire.
No one's talking about a dad. You know what? The only dads that get a little bashed are like the stay-at-home dads who are letting their wives have a career. Jesus.
Yeah, and that's even bad.
So, ladies.
Anyway, stop judging.
Stop judging. I'm talking to myself too, because I initially did judge. Let's stop judging. Let's band together, support each other, fuck the patriarchy. And like, cheers to Hannah and Ballerina Farm, because I think they've created something pretty incredible.
Gained one of the 9.8 million followers is me.
And me too.
Yeah, three.
Got 3 new followers.
I'm into her. Maybe she should do a reality TV show so we can see behind the veil.
I bet it's coming.
That's coming. I'd watch that. I would watch that.
Add it to the list.
And that's it. Yeah. I'd have to drop something else off.
But
it's probably going to be a Real Housewives of New York. Can't stand those.
End on this note. If she makes you mad or if she makes you happy, stop and think about why.
Yes.
Like, ask yourself. I did a lot of deep digging this week, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think you could learn a lot. And like, talk to your friends that might think differently of you. I think you can learn a lot from that.
Like it. All right, guys. Thanks for
Cheers.
sticking with us.
Cheers, Ballerina Farm.
Good night.
Bye.
Good night.